Sebastian Carter had always considered himself a man of routine. At 45, he built a life that mirrored the steady rhythm of his engineering career, predictable, reliable, and comfortably numb. His wife, Harper, 43, was the vibrant counterbalance to his stoicism. Her laughter had once filled their suburban home with warmth, and her spontaneity had kept their 16-year marriage from sinking into monotony. Their daughter Lily, 14, was a carbon copy of Harper, curious, outgoing, and fiercely independent. For years, their family had functioned like a well-oiled machine, or so Sebastian had believed. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday evening. Harper had returned home late from her part-time job at the local library, her cheeks flushed and her hair tousled by the autumn wind. She brushed off his questions with a laugh, blaming a last-minute book donation. But Sebastian noticed the way her eyes darted away when she spoke, the way her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her coat. That night, she'd initiated intimacy with an urgency that felt foreign, almost desperate. Sebastian didn't complain. How could he? But the seed of doubt took root. Over the next few weeks, Harper's behavior grew erratic. She volunteered for extra shifts, citing budget cuts at the library. She bought new lingerie, something she dismissed as frivolous for years. Once, while folding laundry, Sebastian found a receipt for a downtown hotel buried in her purse. When he confronted her, she blinked, her expression a flawless mask of innocence. "That's from the fundraising gala last month. Remember? You were too busy to come." He'd nodded, swallowing the lie. The final straw came on the night of Lily's piano recital. Harper had promised to meet them at the school by 7 p.m. By 7:30, she was still absent, her phone rolling to voicemail. Lily's performance, a shaky rendition of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, ended to polite applause, but Sebastian barely heard it, his hands clenched around the program, ink smudging under his grip. When Harper finally rushed in at 8:15, breathless and disheveled, she blamed car trouble. Sebastian said nothing. He didn't mention the faint scent of cologne on her scarf, something woodsy and unfamiliar. The following Saturday, Sebastian decided to test a theory. Harper had left for a yoga class, a new addition to her schedule. He waited 10 minutes before tailing her, his hands white-knuckling the steering wheel. She didn't drive toward the studio. Instead, she parked 3 blocks from their neighborhood, outside a modest townhouse Sebastian recognized instantly. It belonged to Daniel Hartman, their daughter's soccer coach, a widower in his late 30s with a reputation for charm. Sebastian sat in his car, engine idling, as Harper knocked on the door. Daniel answered, his smile easy, his hand lingering on her waist as he ushered her inside. The world narrowed to the ticking of the dashboard clock. 20 minutes. 40. An hour. When Harper emerged, her hair was swept into a messy bun, her lips slightly swollen. Sebastian drove home in silence, his throat raw with unshed tears. That night, he waited until Lily was asleep before confronting her. Harper was in the kitchen, humming as she scrubbed a wine glass. The domesticity of the scene felt like a slap. "We need to talk," Sebastian said, his voice steady despite the storm inside. Harper turned, her smile fading at his tone. "About what?" "Daniel Hartman." The glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the tile. For a heartbeat, she stared at the shards, then met his gaze. "It's not what you think. Really." Sebastian crossed his arms, his jaw tight. "Because I watched you walk into his house today. You were there for an hour and 12 minutes. What's yoga like at Daniel's? Downward dog with a side of adultery." Her composure cracked. "Sebastian, please. It just happened. I never meant to." "How long?" She hesitated, her fingers picking at the edge of her sweater. A few months." The admission hung between them, sharp and suffocating. Sebastian leaned against the counter, suddenly dizzy. "Months? You've been lying to me for months." "It wasn't like that." Her voice rose, desperate. "I've been so lonely, Sebastian. You're always at work or buried in your projects. Daniel, he sees me. He listens. So it's my fault?" He laughed bitterly. "You could talk to me instead. Did you decide to spend time with our child's coach? Harper flinched. Don't say that. It wasn't just physical. Oh, even better. You're in love. He turned away, gripping the edge of the sink. Get out. What? You heard me. Pack a bag and go. I don't care where, but you're not spending another night under this roof. Sebastian, please? She reached for him, but he jerked back. Now, Harper. Before I say something I'll regret. She left in tears, her footsteps echoing in the garage. Sebastian stood in the kitchen, staring at the broken glass. Somewhere upstairs, Lily's music drifted through the vents. A pop song about heartbreak. He sank to the floor, his back against the cabinets, and let the tears come. The days that followed were a blur. Harper called incessantly, leaving voicemails that swung between pleading and defensive. Sebastian deleted them all. Lily, sensing the tension, retreated into sullen silence. Her questions met with evasive half-truths. Mom's staying with a friend for a while, he told her, hating himself for the lie. At work, Sebastian buried himself in blueprints, in meetings, but the numbers blurred on the page. His assistant, Karen, noticed his distraction. Everything okay? She asked one afternoon, her tone gentle. Peachy, he muttered, slamming a folder shut. He avoided the soccer field, though Lily still attended practice. Daniel, to his credit, kept his distance, his usual cheer replaced by a stiff professionalism. Sebastian wondered if guilt had finally clawed its way into the man's conscience. Then, on a rainy Thursday evening, Harper showed up unannounced. She stood on the porch, her hair plastered to her face, clutching the suitcase. I want to fix this, she said, her voice trembling. For Lily. For us. Sebastian blocked the doorway. There's no us. Not anymore. You don't mean that. She stepped forward, but he held up a hand. I do. You made your choice. Now live with it. The door closed with a soft click. Through the window, he watched her shoulders slump, then straighten as she walked back to her car. That night, he found Lily crying in her room, a crumpled photo of the three of them at the beach clutched in her hands. I'm sorry, he whispered, holding her. I'm so sorry, but apologies couldn't mend what was broken. The divorce proceedings were a slow, corrosive drip. Harper fought for joint custody, her lawyers painting Sebastian as emotionally distant, a workaholic who'd neglected his family long before her affair. He didn't contest it, let them twist the narrative. He refused to drag Lily through a public spectacle. The judge granted Harper weekends, a decision that left Sebastian hollow. Every Friday, he'd watch Lily trudge to her mother's car, her backpack slung over one shoulder like an anchor. Winter hardened into spring. Sebastian sold the house, too many ghosts in the walls, and moved into a condo downtown. The space felt sterile, all sharp angles and muted grays, but it was easier to clean. Lily's room remained half empty, her stuffed animals and soccer trophies boxed in the closet. She split her time between two worlds now, her chatter growing sparse, her smiles rationed. Harper's attempts to reconnect were relentless. She'd text photos of Lily at the park, captioned, "She misses you." She'd drop off homemade lasagna, still warm, on his doorstep. Once, she showed up at his office, her eyes pleading, "Can't we just talk?" For Lily's sake. Sebastian had security escort her out. It was Karen, his assistant, who became an unexpected lifeline. She'd leave coffee on his desk, black with one sugar, how he'd taken it for years. She covered for him during panic attacks in the stairwell. One evening, as he brooded over paperwork, she slid into his office, her voice soft. "You don't have to do this alone, you know?" He almost laughed. "Do what?" "Grieve." They started with dinner's neutral ground. A diner near the office, then her apartment. Karen was divorced too. Her ex, a hedge fund guy who traded her in for a newer model. She didn't pry, didn't push. Her presence was a balm, quiet and steady. By summer, she'd coaxed him into hiking trips, her laughter loosening the knots in his chest. Lily approved in her teenage way. Karen's cool. She doesn't treat me like a kid. But guilt lingered. Sebastian found himself comparing Karen's sharp wit to Harper's warmth, her practicality to Harper's spontaneity. He kept her at arm's length, terrified of repeating mistakes. Harper, meanwhile, spiraled. She showed up drunk to Lily's soccer game, slurring insults at Daniel from the sidelines. The school barred her from future matches. Lily stopped mentioning her altogether. The breaking point came in July. Sebastian arrived home to find Harper slumped against his door, mascara streaking her cheeks. She reeked of vodka and regret. "I lost her," she whispered. "Lily hates me." He helped her inside, sat her on the couch. For the first time, he saw the cracks in her facade. The chipped nail polish, the frayed hem of her dress. The woman who'd once radiated confidence now seemed small, brittle. "You need help," he said, not unkindly. She laughed, a wet, broken sound. "From you? Don't pretend to care. I care about Lily, and right now you're hurting her." Harper's face crumpled. "I never wanted this, any of it. But you chose it." She left without another word. The next morning, she checked into rehab. Lily moved in full-time, her relief palpable. Autumn brought a fragile normalcy. Karen integrated into their routines, movie nights, Sunday pancakes. Lily started therapy, her anger softening into guarded optimism. Sebastian allowed himself to hope. Then, on a crisp October afternoon, Daniel Hartman appeared at his doorstep. The coach looked diminished, his athletic build sagging under a faded hoodie. "I need to talk to you," he said. Sebastian considered slamming the door. Instead, he stepped outside. "I'm leaving town," Daniel blurted. "Got a job offer in Seattle. But before I go, Harper wasn't the only one." Sebastian froze. "What?" Daniel scuffed his shoe against the step. "There were others. Not many. But I thought you should know." The world tilted. Sebastian gripped the railing. "Why tell me now? Guilt, maybe. Or because she's still in love with you." Sebastian didn't sleep that night. He drove to the rehab center, parked in the lot, and stared at the glowing windows. When Harper emerged for a smoke break, she spotted his car. For a long moment, they held each other's gaze. Then she flicked her cigarette into the dirt and walked inside. He didn't follow. The divorce finalized in December. Sebastian, Karen, and Lily spent Christmas in the Rockies. The snow-capped peaks a clean slate. On New Year's Eve, as fireworks burst over the city, Karen kissed him. A tentative, hopeful press of lips. Sebastian hesitated, then pulled back. "I'm not ready," he said. She smiled, sad but understanding. "I know." By spring, the condo felt less like a cage. Lily hung fairy lights in her room, her laughter echoing down the halls. Sebastian took up woodworking, filling the silence with the rasp of sandpaper. Harper sent a postcard from Oregon. A generic sunset, no return address. "I'm sorry" was all it said. He tucked it in a drawer unread. Life, he realized, wasn't about moving on. It was about rebuilding, piece by fractured piece, and learning to breathe around the scars.